They rolled their eyes when you shared your dreams, dismissed your vision like it was nonsense. They questioned your worth, talked behind your back, and acted like you were invisible when you needed them most. But here you are, still breathing, still standing, still hungry, because deep down you know something they don't. Your time is now. You see, most people don't hate you. They hate themselves for not being as bold, as resilient, as quietly unstoppable as you are becoming. They mock what they don't understand. And they don't understand how someone like you, someone they counted out, could possibly be rising. But you are, slowly, deliberately, powerfully. That's why you must ignore them. The truth is, not everyone deserves a front row seat to your transformation. Not everyone should be allowed to speak into your life. Their voices don't matter if their lives don't reflect the kind of future you're building. The more you focus on them, the more distracted you become from your path. Every minute you spend explaining yourself to people who don't care to understand is a minute stolen from your purpose. You owe it to yourself to let go of the noise. Let them gossip, let them judge, let them misunderstand you. That's not your burden to carry. Your responsibility is to keep moving forward with clarity, with discipline, with grace. You're not here to be liked, you're here to be legendary. They think you've been quiet because you're weak. No, you've been silent because you're working. You've been investing in your growth, battling your demons, building yourself from the inside out. While they're busy comparing, complaining, and criticizing, you've been becoming. You've been studying, healing, leveling up, and preparing. And that's why this next chapter, it belongs to you. Your time isn't coming, it's already here. You've waited long enough. You've sacrificed long enough. Now it's time to stop asking for permission and start walking like you own the path. Because you do. No one's going to hand it to you. But if you're willing to own your truth, sharpen your mind, and keep your eyes on the prize, nothing and no one can stop you. Don't let their doubts become your limits. Don't let their fear shrink your vision. Don't let their hate slow your rise. Focus on you. This is the season of alignment, of clarity, of self-prioritization. If something isn't feeding your soul, building your peace, or strengthening your future, it has no place in your life right now. Be ruthless with your focus. Be unshakable in your pursuit. Be loyal to your vision, even when it gets lonely, because it will get lonely. Growth always separates you from the crowd. Elevation requires isolation, but don't confuse loneliness with failure. That quiet space, that's where your power multiplies. That's where your next breakthrough is born. There will be days where the process feels slow, where progress seems invisible, where the silence is deafening. But those are the days when the roots are growing deepest. The foundation is forming. The momentum is building beneath the surface. Just because it's not loud doesn't mean it's not powerful. Stay consistent. Stay committed. Stay locked in. They laughed when you dreamed out loud. They questioned your sanity when you dared to speak life into something bigger than what they could comprehend. And for a while, you might have believed them. You might have let their doubts soak into your spirit. You might have allowed their opinions to become a mirror, reflecting back limitations that were never yours in the first place. But here's the truth. Their opinions are not your problem. Their approval is not your necessity. And their understanding is not your responsibility. Let go of it. All of it. You have to understand that most people judge from a place of fear. Fear of change, fear of risk, fear of someone around them actually doing the thing they were too scared to even try. When you start moving differently, when you start growing, evolving, and breaking patterns, it makes people uncomfortable. It challenges their reality. And rather than rise to meet you, they'll try to pull you back down where they feel safe. It's not because they hate you. It's because your growth reminds them of their stagnation. Your courage shines a light on their excuses. And that discomfort, that unease they feel when you speak with clarity and move with intention, that's not your burden to carry. Letting go of their opinions isn't about becoming heartless or closed off. It's about protecting your vision. It's about creating mental space to focus on what truly matters, your growth, your healing, your alignment. Every second you spend worrying about what they think is a second you could have spent building, learning, sharpening. You can't move forward while constantly looking over your shoulder. You can't build with confidence while questioning if they're going to mock your next step. And you definitely can't rise if you keep shrinking yourself to fit into their comfort zones. There comes a moment when you have to make a choice, your peace or their approval, your future or their familiarity. And if you're serious about elevating, you must choose yourself. That means walking away from conversations that drain you. That means saying no when they expect a yes. That means not explaining your silence, your grind, your boundaries. You don't owe anyone a play-by-play of your transformation. Your life is not a democracy. It's a personal mission, and only you are called to fulfill it. Some people will never understand why you had to go quiet, why you had to disappear, why you're so focused now. Let them misunderstand. Their confusion is none of your concern. The truth is, most of them aren't qualified to speak into your future because they're still stuck in cycles you've already outgrown. And if you keep letting their limited perspectives steer your life, you'll end up building a version of success that doesn't even fulfill you. So choose to be misunderstood. Choose to walk alone for a while. Choose to focus on your vision even when it gets lonely, because the right people, the real ones, will never question your need to grow. They'll support it, even from a distance. They'll respect your space. They'll understand your silence. Let go of the weight of opinions that were never yours to carry. Reclaim your energy, redirect it inward, pour it into your goals, your faith, your mindset. The world doesn't need another person watered down by judgment and fear. It needs someone bold enough to rise regardless. Let that be you. Let that be now. While the world scrolls, talks, and criticizes, you've been quietly working on something much more powerful, yourself. Because the truth is, real growth doesn't happen in the spotlight. It doesn't come from applause or attention. It happens in silence, in discomfort, in those invisible moments when no one is watching, but everything is changing. The inner work you do is the foundation for everything you want to build, and without it, no success will ever feel real, sustainable, or fulfilling. That's why focusing on inner growth isn't just a nice idea, it's a requirement. Most people want the outcome, but they don't want the process. They want the rewards of greatness without the discomfort of growth. But you're different. You've started realizing that the world doesn't owe you clarity. You have to earn it. And you earn it by sitting with your pain, facing your fears, forgiving your past, and choosing discipline even when comfort is calling. That's what inner growth is. It's not glamorous. It doesn't get likes or shares, but it's the only thing that creates lasting change. Think about it. Every time you've evolved, it started within. Maybe it was a mindset shift. Maybe it was breaking a toxic pattern. Maybe it was realizing you had more strength than you gave yourself credit for. Whatever it was, it didn't come from the outside. It came from you digging deep, staying present, and choosing to believe in a better version of yourself. That choice is the beginning of every breakthrough. And the more you honor that process, the stronger, wiser, and more focused you become. People don't see the late nights you spend questioning your path. They don't see the mornings where you choose discipline over excuses. They don't hear the internal battles you fight just to stay consistent, but that's okay. They're not supposed to. Inner growth is personal, it's sacred, it's yours. And the best part? No one can take it away from you. Once you've grown, you can't ungrow. Once you've seen your own power, you can't pretend to be powerless again. But growth requires honesty. You have to be willing to admit where you've been playing small, where you've let fear make decisions, where you've tolerated less than you deserve. That's not easy. It requires humility and courage. It's easier to blame others, to point fingers, to say they did this to me. But growth says, Even if they did, I'm still responsible for how I respond. That's when everything shifts. That's when you move from victim to creator. That's when you stop waiting and start becoming. You won't always feel like it's working. You'll question if the inner work matters, but keep going. Every mindset shift is a brick. Every boundary you set is a beam. Every time you choose peace over chaos, focus over distraction, healing over avoidance, you are building. And eventually, the world will see what you've been working on this whole time. But by then, it won't be about their recognition. It'll be about your alignment, your peace, your power. So stay on the path, even when it's quiet, especially when it's quiet, because that's where the real change is happening. That's where you're leveling up. And that's where the version of you who's ready to handle greatness is being formed. Let others chase attention. You keep chasing growth. Because when the foundation is strong, no storm can shake you. And when the work is done within, the results outside follow without force. That's the real win. That's the unshakable confidence. That's what makes you unstoppable. You've spent too much time trying to be everything for everyone. Too much energy has gone into keeping the peace, pleasing others, showing up when your own cup was empty. And where did that leave you? Drained, overlooked, forgotten. You kept giving and giving, hoping someone would notice, hoping someone would finally return the energy. But now you're waking up to the truth. You were never meant to live your life for someone else's expectations. You were never meant to shrink yourself to fit into a space that doesn't honor your value. This is your season to prioritize yourself without guilt, without apology, and without hesitation. Some will call it selfish. They'll say you've changed. And they're right. You have. You've grown tired of sacrificing your peace for people who wouldn't lose sleep over your pain. You've realized that not everyone who has access to you deserves your energy. And that's not bitterness, that's wisdom. That's growth. Because the more you value yourself, the less you tolerate what once drained you. You stop negotiating with chaos. You stop justifying your boundaries. You stop explaining your silence. You begin to honor your space, your time, your needs. And that's where real strength is born. But there's a big difference between being kind and being used. There's a difference between being supportive and being a doormat. You can be a good person with a good heart and still choose to protect your energy. You can love people from a distance. You can say no without guilt. You can walk away from what no longer serves you and still be a compassionate, thoughtful soul. In fact, learning to say no is one of the highest forms of self-respect. It means you've stopped waiting for others to give you permission to rest, to recharge, to reset. You give yourself that permission now because you finally know your worth. Self-prioritization doesn't mean you abandon everyone. It means you stop abandoning yourself. It means checking in with your own needs before rushing to meet everyone else's. It means honoring your mental health, your emotional bandwidth, your physical boundaries. And when you do that, you don't just become more powerful, you become more present, more authentic, and more aligned because you're not operating from depletion anymore. You're moving from wholeness. And that changes everything. You begin to notice how peaceful your life becomes when you remove yourself from environments that constantly require you to prove your worth. You begin to thrive in solitude. You begin to flourish in silence. You start to realize that healing isn't always loud and dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet, steady, and deeply intentional. Sometimes it's just sitting with yourself, saying no to chaos and choosing peace over pleasing. And when you make yourself the priority, you stop chasing things that were never meant for you. You stop begging for love, for recognition, for validation. You begin to attract what aligns with your true self. You stop settling for halfway energy and broken promises. You stop explaining why your boundaries are necessary. You just live them, and anyone who truly values you will rise to meet you there. This isn't about being cold. It's about being clear. Clear about what you need, clear about what you deserve, clear about what you will and will not accept anymore. Because the version of you that's rising now, they don't have time for guilt trips, emotional manipulation, or endless cycles of self-sacrifice. This version of you is focused, grounded, and unapologetically choosing peace over performance. So choose you, protect your time, guard your energy. Stop showing up for people who never show up for you. Start showing up for yourself like your life depends on it, because it does. This is your permission to take up space, to rest, to evolve, to prioritize your healing, your growth, your joy. Without guilt, without apology, without compromise, Discipline is the difference between wanting something and actually having it. It's the bridge between dreams and reality, and most people never cross it. Not because they can't, but because they're unwilling to do the hard, boring, repetitive things that growth demands. They want the lifestyle, but not the lifestyle change. They crave the results, but avoid the routine. And that's exactly what separates the people who talk about success from the people who live it. If you want to stand out, if you want to become someone extraordinary, then you need to let discipline and consistency become your new identity. No one sees the quiet nights when you're working while others are partying. No one claps for the early mornings when you get up and show up before the world even opens its eyes. Success is never built in the spotlight. It's built in private. It's in the reps you do when no one is watching. It's in the meals you skip because you're fueling your body with purpose. It's in the money you don't spend because your goals are bigger than momentary pleasures. It's in the distractions you ignore, the temptations you deny, and the excuses you refuse to entertain. Discipline doesn't mean perfection. It means commitment. It means showing up on the days you don't feel like it. It means following through on your word, especially when it gets hard. Because anyone can be excited at the beginning. Anyone can be hyped for a few days. But it's the one who stays consistent through boredom, through pain, through doubt. That's the one who breaks through. Consistency is the real flex. It's the proof that you're not relying on mood or motivation. You're driven by purpose. The problem is most people wait for inspiration to act. But champions don't wait, they move. They act their way into motivation. They show up first and the fire follows, because once you understand that discipline is a choice, not a feeling, you stop negotiating with your laziness. You stop asking yourself, do I feel like it today? You already know the answer doesn't matter. You just get up and do it anyway. That's the shift. That's when everything changes. And here's what most people don't realize. Your habits are your future in motion. Every small decision you make today is either building you up or breaking you down. The hours you scroll instead of study, the workouts you skip, the promises you make and don't keep, they're all compounding. Every choice is a vote for the person you're becoming. So who are you voting for with your actions? Who are you becoming when no one's watching? It's not about having the best plan or the perfect strategy. It's about doing the simple things daily that align with your purpose. You don't have to be extraordinary to be consistent, but when you are consistent, you will become extraordinary, because eventually those small actions create massive impact. While others are wondering why nothing's changing, you'll be moving. While they're complaining, and eventually they'll ask how you did it, and your answer will be simple. I showed up when it was hard. I kept going when it was quiet. I stayed focused when it was tempting to quit. So if you want to be different, act different. Build habits that honor your future self. Keep your promises, master your mornings, own your evenings, build a structure that supports your growth, and then protect it with everything you have. Let your discipline speak louder than your dreams. Let your consistency be the evidence of your hunger, because in the end, it's not about who started the loudest. It's about who stayed long enough to finish strong. That can be you. Let it be you. There's a moment in your life when you finally wake up and realize that chasing approval has only left you exhausted, anxious, and disconnected from who you really are. You've twisted yourself into shapes that don't even look like you just to fit into rooms that never saw your value. You've watered down your voice, your ideas, your power, just to be accepted by people who wouldn't recognize authenticity if it stared them in the face. But now you're done with that, because you're starting to see the truth. You weren't born to be liked. You were born to live with purpose. Seeking approval is a trap. It's the quickest way to lose your identity, your power, your peace. The more you crave validation, the more control you give others over your life. You begin to let their opinions become your mirror, their approval, your reward, their rejection, your punishment. And when you live like that, you never get to meet the real version of yourself, the bold, fearless, unfiltered version who isn't afraid to take up space. You only get a diluted version shaped by fear and fed by insecurity. You can't chase both approval and purpose. One requires conformity, the other demands courage. One is about staying safe, the other is about stepping into the unknown. One keeps you comfortable, the other calls you to grow. And deep down, you already know which one you're here for. That ache you feel, that pull in your soul, that quiet unrest, it's purpose calling. It's the voice that won't go away, no matter how many people clap for you. It's the inner fire that keeps burning, no matter how much you try to suppress it to fit in. You don't need another compliment. You need clarity. You don't need applause. You need alignment. Living in purpose means not everyone will understand you. It means you'll be criticized, misunderstood, even mocked, but that's okay because you're not doing it for them. You're doing it for the person you're becoming, for the vision that keeps you up at night, for the legacy you want to leave behind. People might not get your choices, but that doesn't mean they're wrong. They don't have your perspective. They don't carry your calling. So stop waiting for their permission to become who you were created to be. If they don't get it, they're not meant to. The most powerful thing you can do is stop performing. Stop pretending. Stop living for the applause. There's something far greater than approval, and that's peace. Peace comes when your actions align with your values. Peace comes when you walk in truth, even when it costs you popularity. Peace comes when you no longer compromise your authenticity just to be accepted. That peace is what gives you strength. That peace is what fuels you when no one is clapping, when no one is watching, when the path gets hard. Purpose doesn't scream for attention. It moves in silence. It's the quiet conviction that keeps you disciplined, focused, and hungry. It's the voice that says, keep going when no one's cheering. It's the clarity that cuts through the noise and says, this is who I am. This is where I'm going. That kind of clarity changes everything. It sets you free. You weren't made to blend in. You weren't made to follow the crowd. You were made to rise, to lead, to inspire. And that requires breaking free from the need to be liked. Not everyone will clap for your growth. Not everyone will celebrate your boundaries. Not everyone will support your journey. But the ones who are meant for you, they won't need you to shrink. They'll recognize your purpose and respect your truth. Until then, stop chasing them. Chase your calling instead. You've been trying to fix things that were never your responsibility to fix. Carrying weight that was never yours to hold. Pouring into people who only knew how to take. And somewhere along the way, you confused compassion with self-abandonment. You told yourself you were being strong, loyal, forgiving, but what you were really doing was slowly emptying your spirit for people who were never going to fill you back up. Now it's time to let go, not because you're bitter, not because you hate them, but because your peace matters more than keeping a broken connection alive. Letting go is not weakness, it's power. It's choosing to no longer participate in cycles that keep you drained and distracted. It's stepping away from conversations that always end in confusion. It's no longer trying to prove your worth to people committed to misunderstanding you. There is strength in walking away. There is power in choosing yourself. Sometimes the most courageous act is saying, this no longer serves me, and honoring that truth without guilt. You have to realize that not everyone is meant to go where you're going. Some people were only lessons. Some situations were only meant to build your resilience. But when you hold on past their expiration date, you start decaying alongside them. You stop growing. You stop dreaming. You start doubting yourself because you're trying to bloom in soil that no longer nourishes you. That's why it hurts. That's why you feel stuck, because your spirit is ready to evolve, but your environment is keeping you anchored to the past. You can love people and still let them go. You can forgive and still move forward without them. Growth isn't about dragging everyone with you. It's about learning who's aligned with your future and who belongs to your history. And when you stop resisting that truth, you finally make room for the right energy to enter your life. You open the door for peace to settle in. You create space for clarity to guide you. The fear of letting go often comes from the fear of the unknown. You wonder what life will look like without them. You question whether you're being too harsh, too cold, too selfish. But what if you're not? What if for once you're just choosing to protect your energy? What if this time you're deciding to be loyal to your peace instead of your patterns? Because no matter how much you try to fix someone, if they're committed to staying broken, all you'll do is break yourself in the process. Letting go is an act of self-respect. It's saying, I deserve better than this confusion, this inconsistency, this emotional tug of war. It's trusting that peace is not too much to ask for, that honesty and respect are not luxury items. They're the bare minimum. And if someone can't meet you there, you don't lower the bar. You raise your standards. Sometimes the healing begins the moment you stop explaining yourself. The moment you stop defending your decisions, the moment you stop trying to fix what God has already shown you needs to be released. You don't need closure from them. You need clarity within you. You don't need their apology. You need your own permission to move on. So let go. Let go of the versions of people you created in your mind. Let go of the fantasy, the potential, the maybe someday. Let go of the guilt, the regret, the fear. And instead, hold on to your peace. Hold on to your future. Hold on to the vision of yourself that's no longer afraid to be free. Because on the other side of letting go is not loss, it's liberation. And you deserve to be free. There comes a time in your life when you have to make a decision. Either you keep living in the shadow of your old self, or you rise into the person you were born to be. And that rise doesn't begin when everything is perfect. It begins when you stop waiting. It begins when you realize that the perfect time will never come, that no one is going to hand you a better life, and that your dreams won't work unless you do. Your time is now, not tomorrow, not someday, now. Because every second you spend doubting yourself is a second you could have used to build something real. Every moment you stay stuck in fear is a moment you could have claimed your future. This is not the season to hesitate. This is not the time to keep playing small. You've done that. You've tried staying quiet, dimming your light, doubting your gift. And where did that take you? It only kept you invisible in rooms where you were meant to lead. You were not created to play safe, to keep second-guessing yourself, or to be trapped by the opinions of people who don't even know who they are. You were created to rise. You were built for impact. You were designed for purpose. But purpose won't chase you. You have to chase it. You have to show up with boldness even when you feel insecure. You have to move with conviction even when the path isn't clear. People often think confidence comes first, then action, but the truth is it's the action that builds the confidence. It's the doing that makes you stronger. You don't wait until you feel ready. You move, and in that movement, you become ready. The version of you who's confident, capable, and clear, that version is built, not born. And it's built by showing up day after day, doing the work, failing forward, learning fast, and refusing to give up when it gets hard. The world doesn't owe you understanding. Life won't pause until you feel prepared. Time won't slow down for you to gather courage. You've got to move now because time is the one currency you can never get back. You've wasted enough of it overthinking, procrastinating, worrying about things that never even happened. You've talked yourself out of greatness too many times. This is the moment where that changes. This is the season where your action becomes louder than your fear, where your vision becomes stronger than your excuses. No one is coming to push you. No one is coming to save you. It's on you now. But that's not a burden. That's your power. Because if it's on you, then you get to decide how far you go. You get to decide when you start. You get to write the next chapter. The pen is in your hand. Don't keep rereading the last page of pain, regret, or failure. Start writing something new. Start building something better. The past may have shaped you, but it doesn't have to define you. Your time is now, and the only thing standing in your way is the belief that it's not. Start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can today. Not with perfection, but with purpose. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to take the first step, and then another, and then another. Every big transformation starts with one decision. I'm not waiting anymore. That decision can be yours right now. Your future self is watching. The person you're meant to be is waiting for you to show up. And when you do, you'll realize that the moment you stopped waiting for the right time was the moment your time finally began.